have 5 minutes to question the witnesses. I will begin with Ms. Lang. Thank you for being here again. I know you talked about in your testimony that your business makes very small batches of the particular product line that you sell. And with this limited quantity, testing each line is obviously very expensive. And if you could rely on tests conducted by your component suppliers rather than by you, would that provide significant relief? And can you give me an example of the cost reduction that you would see?
If I could rely on component testing and just getting GCCs from my suppliers, that would significantly reduce the cost of testing for my product. I wouldn't need to send it for the third-party wet lab lead testing and the phthalate testing. I am unsure, however, if, since fabric is an item that that is not intended for always for a teething item, I'm not sure if that would be tested for phthalates. But however, since there aren't any in fabric, it's not a plastic, if there could be an exemption for items that aren't plastic written into the law or are exempted by the CPSC would be wonderful.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Schreiber, the product testing requirements of the law are obviously some of the most burdensome for small businesses, and the tests can be very expensive. Can you quantify for us how much exactly would it cost you to test your products?
If just this set would cost up to $1,200, with what I make, it would be conservatively in the hundreds of thousands of dollars. I mean, because I use, everything I use is made once. It's a one-off item. Everything is personalized. So therefore, everything I make would have to be tested. So it would actually boggle the mind how much it would cost to.
So it's an amount that you couldn't even consider.
I couldn't quantify it. I wouldn't be able to. It would be 75 times the number of threads I have in my house, the number of ribbons I have, the number of products I have, the number of products that make up the products I get from my wholesalers.
Would anybody else on the panel like to comment on that issue? Okay. Ms. Bastian. Secondhand stores like Once Upon a Child are generally selling items manufactured years earlier, long before the new law was even considered by Congress. And I know the Consumer Product Safety Commission guidance has been vague to resellers. Do you feel that there's any economically feasible way for resellers to determine which products could be legally sold and lawfully sold?
Economically, I believe there is not. For us to test the product, if we so chose that, you can purchase an XRF technology type gun. Cost of that for an individual owner would be around $20,000. Let alone the labor included to be able to test each of the components of each of the unique items that they are purchasing for resale in their store.
Thank you. And for Mr. Vitone and Ms. Schreiber, overly burdensome regulations can place small businesses on an uneven playing field. Small businesses simply don't have the compliance resources that their larger competitors do. So could each of you talk about how this, from a business perspective, these regulations have put you at a competitive disadvantage? Start with Mr. Vitone.
Sure, thank you. I would say they do put us at a competitive disadvantage, not just with our other competitors, but also with the retailers that we sell to. We sell to large box retailers. And when a large box retailer tells us that they just shredded 100,000 units of our, 10,000 units of our product and wants a $100,000 credit, we don't have much choice but to comply. We have to sell to that retailer next year if we want to stay in business. So it puts us at a competitive disadvantage, not just to them, but then those resources take us away from growing our business and hopefully selling more product the next year.
And for me, the competition I have, it really would fall under who is going to try and be legal under the law and who's not. Many of my competitors probably feel the same way that I do, that we're making safe products, we want to be legal. There's also many people that believe it doesn't apply to them, they're not going to follow the letter of the law. So at that point, The competitive difference goes from 0 to 60 because I'm done. I'm closing my doors. I'm selling off my sewing machines, and they're continuing to make what they already have, on the assumption that they're never going to catch me. So, I mean, I don't know if that
It does. That
clarifies, but.
Thank you very much. Ms. Fallon.